Dear netizens, this video is about the peace talks between Russia and Ukraine. I really want to share the real situation with all of you. Well, since 2022, Russia and Ukraine have not had any face-to-face talks. Trump finally made it happen, after so much waiting. It's the European countries, Ukraine, and the United States that want a ceasefire. Russia refuses a ceasefire. They're asking everyone to have face-to-face talks with one another, in person. Originally, Zelensky and Putin were both supposed to meet, in person, at a planned summit in the city of Istanbul. But in the end, Putin didn't go. So naturally, Zelensky didn't go either. As a result, it was Putin's advisor from Russia and Ukraine's Minister of Defense who met instead. The two of them each brought their own entourages to Istanbul for the meeting. They talked for just about an hour. But in the end, they couldn't reach an agreement. First of all, the Ukrainian side pointed out that the demands put forward by Russia were unrealistic. So what exactly is meant by unrealistic, in addition to the areas already under its control? Russia also demanded that the Ukrainian military withdraw from 4 regions. These include 4 oblasts, for example, such as Kherson and Zaporizhia, among others. Even in areas it hasn't occupied yet, Russia demands Ukraine withdraw. It's telling Ukraine's troops to leave places it hasn't taken, which Ukraine does not agree with. That's just not acceptable. Ukraine has proposed a full ceasefire for 3 months. Then, a full prisoner exchange was proposed. So, what does a total prisoner exchange mean? How many people each side caught? They would all be exchanged at once, but they couldn't reach an agreement on this either. At one point, the Russian side even left the meeting. I think they went to report to Putin. But in the end, Putin didn't agree. When they came back, they said, the only thing they managed to agree on was 1,000 prisoners of war for 1,000 prisoners of war. But the specific details still haven't been worked out yet. That's the first point. I'll comment on this at the end, okay? And then, later on, Trump said, as follows. It should be today, U.S. time. He will have a conversation with Zelensky and Putin. Hopefully we can talk about this further, in more detail. I don't know what kind of tricks Trump has up his sleeve. I'll analyze that at the end. All right. So, what's the third important point? Remember, if this round of talks falls through, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, and Poland, these 4 countries, have stated that they will impose further sanctions on Russia. They'll cut off all of Russia's economic lifelines. I've mentioned this as well. I speculated about it. I've seen international media discuss what actions could be taken. Basically, even subsidiaries of Russian banks, intermediary banks, such as in China, how to do business with Russia, will be subject to sanctions. Then there are 300 ships transporting black market oil. If you dare to turn off your AIS, which is the satellite identification system, all European companies will, indeed, sanction you. You won't be allowed to enter any European ports in the future. And on top of that, if any insurance company dares to do this kind of business, just pursue it. In other words, over the past 3 years, wherever there have been loopholes, they'll patch them all up. According to what they say, can actually make Russia completely cut off Russia's economic lifeline, so that Russia won't be able to keep fighting. All right. But what about the reality? Let me tell you, the real situation is that Russia has, in record numbers, reportedly attacked Ukraine overnight with 273 drones in a massive operation. And the most outrageous thing was the shocking attack on a student bus, which resulted in 9 deaths and 13 injuries. French President Emmanuel Macron said recently, this is a very inhumane act. As a reputable country, the United States will definitely hold those responsible for this matter accountable. He put pressure on Trump. America, you see. Now they're not giving you any respect. You should hurry up and take action. That's simply what Macron said. I should put it that way too. We need to understand Putin's mentality. Putin feels that he still has the upper hand. Why does Putin feel that he has the upper hand? First, when it comes to the ongoing attrition of this matter. On the front lines of the battlefield, there has been almost no progress at all. It only advances an extra 100 or 200 meters every day. It's that serious. I've never seen a battle where the offensive moves this slowly. Because it's really hard to attack right now. Both sides are holding their positions well. It's difficult to attack. Both sides have a lot of drones out front. It's really hard for you to charge forward, I can tell you. So, it's estimated it'll take 200 or 300 years to finish this fight before they can occupy the whole of Ukraine, if things keep progressing at this pace. But Putin is betting on two things. First, Russia has a population of 140 million, while Ukraine only has 40 million people. Attrition of troops, such as everyone is wearing each other down, and Ukraine is at a disadvantage. This is the first reason he thinks the war can be dragged out. Dragged out until Ukraine can no longer hold on. So, what's the second one? He really wants to see the United States no longer assists Ukraine. Whether European aid alone is enough for Ukraine to keep fighting. That's the issue. It's only been just over 3 months since Trump took office. He dragged it out for 6 or 7 months and lost the strong support of the United States. Will Ukraine still be able to keep fighting? That's the second biggest reason. Third, Russia has always controlled public opinion in some way. It's much easier for them to keep dissidents under control. If this drags on even longer, will the Ukrainian people's morale start to shift? Will they still have the courage to keep fighting now in Ukraine? If they, for whatever reason, can't return to the 2014 borders. About 50% of people have already accepted that, but if they can't even restore the 2022 borders, even just that, that's still something most people can't accept. So these 3 points are why Russia refuses to agree to a ceasefire right now. Because there's a ceasefire, there's no way to start the war again. It stops now. A real ceasefire. It's obvious. Both European countries and Ukraine feel they're at a bit of a disadvantage, really. That's why they're calling for an immediate and comprehensive ceasefire. If you had the upper hand, you wouldn't be asking for an immediate ceasefire. There are really 2 factors to consider. One factor is, without the support of the United States, such as military intelligence and satellite information, as well as Patriot missiles, can we continue to provide support? The second factor is the production of artillery shells. European countries are still not enough. That's why I'm buying the German stock. They're constantly expanding production of these shells. The consumption of these munitions is enormous. Russia really has China's support. It hopes the war can go on. Southwest, you want to drive a wedge between China and Russia. That's impossible. All right. And then I really took a look. Now it's quite obvious that it's clearly Russia that really doesn't want a ceasefire. And Trump said he thinks there's no point in 5,000 people dying every week. He once said a harsh word or two about sanctioning Russia. I'll see if he actually imposes sanctions. If he doesn't join in the sanctions, purely sanctions from those European countries, it's not very effective. The United States and European countries need to work together to be able to sanction Russia, especially when it comes to pressuring China and India not to buy Russian oil. If they stop buying, Russia is done for. We'll just have to wait and see. If Russia refuses to agree to a ceasefire, Trump is really putting a lot of pressure on them. Really sanction Russia. That way, the suspicion that he's a Russian asset is cleared. Let's see if he actually dares to go after Russia. Right now, you can see he has 2 different faces when dealing with China and Russia. At most, he just says a few words to Russia. He really doesn't dare to offend Putin. This makes people feel that he is highly suspicious.